Good morning, guys. So this is hopefully the last video I will ever have to make for you. Um, it's weird to think that almost a year ago to the day, we are saying goodbye to this strange way of learning. Um, but I would be lying if I said I would miss it, because man, oh man, do I miss teaching in person to all of you. So today what we're going to be doing is finishing up Oedipus, and I know you're probably thinking, Miss Theobald, why are we finishing this not in class? One of the big reasons is I changed my lesson plan for something just a little fun to kind of end this unit on and end our time together as our individual classes. Um, and so we will be finishing this Oedipus Rex on your own, utilizing this audio, and then we're going to be doing something fun in class before we're reunited as a whole group on Monday. All right. So my Thursday Friday group has actually already read the section we're going to be starting on today, which begins at about 11:05. So I will try to get you a timestamp when I go to finish and wrap this up so that you don't have to reread the same section. But for those of you in my blue or yellow group, you would not have read this section yet. And while there are no questions for it, I do think it's important information for you to know. So I'm just going to kind of summarize it here for you really quick. So Oedipus in the previous scenes has asked for this herdsman, and this herdsman would be the person that he left alive when he murdered all of Laius's posse. And that man came back to Thebes, saw Oedipus on the throne, and left. And so Oedipus is like, well, we need to talk to him anyway to see if he's the guy that I left alive. And then on top of that, it's found out that this is potentially the same man who took the child that Polybus and Merope raises their own to them. And so the herdsman shows up, and he and the messenger from the previous scene are talking, and we find out that the herdsman broke the rules. He was given a very specific decree and order by the king of Thebes, Laius, to take this baby and leave it on the side of the hill. And this herdsman just could not do that. And I think if any of us were in his situation, we would probably choose the same way, right? It would be very hard to leave a defenseless baby on the side of a hill. And he makes the choice that I think any human would make, which is he just can't. All right. And so he realizes the messenger keeps poking, like, hey, I know that guy. And that guy's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. And he's like, no, I totally know who you are. And that's when he's like, fine, it is me. And I broke the rules, even though I shouldn't have. And so he kind of owns up to it. And it solidifies for Oedipus that he is definitely, without question, Jocasta's son, and he has fulfilled the prophecy. All right. And so he's doubly hurt, right? He's got a woman and a wife who told him she hopes he never finds his parents. He finds out who his parents are, and then he finds out that they left him for dead on the side of a hill, and he doesn't take particularly kindly to that. And so he feels like he's been hurt twice over. All right, so we're going to be moving on to how this all ends, okay? So in the scene before the one I just told you about, Jocasta leaves, and she realizes Oedipus is definitely her son, and she doesn't take it super well. And we're going to see just how poorly she takes it. All right, so we're going to start at about line... I apologize. I think I've got a bit of a cold, or my allergies are acting up. I can't decide which one. All right, we're going to start at about line 1219, page 35. Okay, so feel free to pause me if you need to get there, and then meet me over on that section, and meet me on your question set as well. That way we can kind of work through these together, because the questions only apply to about line 1219 to the end. Okay. So the second messenger is going to start us off, and he says, most grave and reverend senators of Thebes, what deeds you soon must hear, what sights behold, how you will mourn if, true-born patriots, your reverence still the race of Labdacus, nor not Ister, nor all of Phases' floods, I know, could wash away the blood stains from this house. This house is cursed. okay? The ills it shrouds or soon will bring to light, ills wrought of malice not unwittingly, the worst to bear are self-inflicted. All right. And the chorus says, grievous enough for all of our tears and groans, our past calamities, what can you add? My tale is quickly told and quickly heard. Our sovereign lady Jocasta is dead. So this plays into the first question that I have assigned on the right or on the left-hand side of my screen. So Jocasta is dead, and I'm going to explain. It's gonna tell us how she comes to die. She dies very dramatically, by the way, and I love it because while she does die, and I don't condone what she does, um, she does not take it well and like literally loses her mind. So the chorus says, alas, poor queen, how came she by her death? And the second messenger tells her, by her own hand. So she took her own life and all the horror of it, not having seen yet cannot comprehend. Nonetheless, as far as my memory serves, I will relate the unhappy lady's woe. When in her frenzy she had passed inside the vestibule, she hurried straight into her bridal chamber. She goes into her bedroom. She's clutching at her hair with both hands, and once within the room, she shut the door, and behind her with a crash, Laius, she cried, and called her husband dead long, long ago. Her thought was of that child, by him begot, the son by whom the sire was murdered, and the murderer left to breed with her own seed to a monstrous progeny. So she's so upset. She realizes that the man she is married to murdered her prior husband, that she is married to her own child, and she's like overwhelmed with emotion here. She's ripping out her own hair. She locks herself in her bedroom. All right. And then it continues on. And then she bewailed the marriage bed, whereupon, poor wretch, she had conceived a double brood, husband by husband and children by her child. Okay. What happened after that, I cannot tell, nor how the end befell. For with a shriek, Oedipus burst in upon us. Okay. So they're not in the bedroom with her. She has locked herself in the bedroom, and Oedipus bursts upon the room because he wants to talk to her. All right. All eyes were fixed on him as up and down he strode, so he's pacing back and forth. Nor could we mark her agony to the end, for stalking to and fro, a sword, he cried. There is no wife, the teeming womb, that bore double harvest me and mine. And in his frenzy, some supernal power, no mortal, surely none of us were watching, guided his footsteps, and with a terrible shriek, as though one beckoned him, he crashed against the folding door. So Oedipus is murderous with rage. He's so upset that he wants to kill Jocasta. And so he like wants a sword and he's going to take her out. All right. And he cried, I got excited. So as though one beckoned, he crashed against the folding doors. So he's going to try to break down the doors, and from their hinges forced the wretched bolts and hurled himself within. And then we beheld a woman hanging there. So she does hang herself, swinging by a noose entwined about her neck. And when he saw her, with a maddening roar, he loosened the cord. So Oedipus lets her down. And when her wretched corpse lay stretched upon the earth, what followed? Oh, it was dreadful. He tore the golden brooches that held her queenly robes and raised them high and plunged them fully into his eyeballs, uttering words like, no more shall I behold such sights of woe. Deeds I have suffered and myself have wrought. Henceforth quenched in darkness shall I see those who I should have never seen. Now blind to those whom when I saw I vainly yearned to know. Such was the burden, his moaning, all the while not once, but often he struck with his hands, uplifted his eyes, and each stroke of the bloody orbs, he fell on his beard, not oozing drop by drop, but one dark, gory downpour, thick as hail. So Oedipus busts into the room, and that's the question over here. And he sees her hanging there. He gets her down, and once she's down, he takes the pins from her dress or her toga and literally stabs out his own eyes. And he gives a few reasons as to why he chooses this path. Mainly, he doesn't believe he deserves sight anymore, that it led him to the choices that he made that ultimately helped him carry out his own fate. And so he believes sight is the cause of all of his problems. And that ties back to, once again, Tiresias being like the guy who can't see, but he sees what's true. And then you've got Oedipus who sees, but is blind to what he's done. Okay. So the chorus says, has he still no respite from his pain? And the second messenger says, he cries, unbar the doors and let all of Thebes behold the slayer of his sire, his mother's, that shameful word my lips may not repeat. He vows to flee, self-banished from the land. So Oedipus is going to kick himself out of Thebes, blind. He's going to wander the world blind, and not in a place he knows, nor stay to bring upon the house the curse himself had uttered. And he has no strength, nor one to guide him, and his tortures more than man can suffer, as yourselves will see. For look, the palace doors are opening, and soon you shall behold a sight so sad that even the spiteful would pity it. All right, so he is going to banish himself, because remember, at the beginning of our play, Crayon says that in order to fix our problem, Oedipus must either murder the murderer, so kill him, or banish the murderer from Thebes. And since Oedipus himself is the murderer, and he's blinded himself, he's not chosen death, so he is chosen to be banished from the land. All right, so Oedipus enters the scene wearing a gory mask with eyes dripping blood and guts. Very dramatic. This would have been horrifying 2,500 years ago. All right, modern cinema would probably be able to copycat this well, but this would have been a mask. Okay, the chorus says, "Woeful sight, more woeful none. These sad eyes have looked upon. Where came his madness? None can tell who cast on you this spell, turning your life around, a demon leaping on you with a bound. Doomed wretch, how can I stand to look at your misery? Though I am driven to gaze upon you with much question, much to learn, horror struck away I turn." So they're so horrified by what they see, they have to look away. And Oedipus, "Ah me, woe is me, where am I being taken? How like a ghost forlorn my voice flies away upon the air. On the demon goads me to the end, but where?" Chorus says, "An end too dread, too dark to see. Dark, dark, the horrors of darkness, like a shroud wraps me and bears me through the mist and cloud. Ah me, what spasms shoot through me, the pangs of agonizing memory." All right. And of course, it is no wonder if such a plight you feel the double weight of past and present woes. So the chorus reminds him, like, we understand that you are consumed by grief, both for your past and your present. Oedipus says, friend, still loyal, constant, still and kind, you care for the blind. I know you're near, and though bereft of eyes, your voice still I recognize. Okay, and the chorus says, "O doer of dread deeds, how could you mar your vision thus? What demon goaded you?" And Oedipus says, "Apollo, friend Apollo, it was he who brought these ills to pass." And remember, Tiresias does tell us at the beginning of this that part of the prophecy is that he will go blind by the end of the play. And so Oedipus, realizing and remembering the prophecy, he does go blind. He forces himself to go blind. He blames fate, but he also accepts his own responsibility here. Okay. Apollo, friend Apollo, it was he who brought these ills to pass, but the hand that dealt the blow was mine, none other. How could I see any longer when sight brought no delight? Okay, so he sees, but it brings him no joy anymore, even though he wishes to see his children. I mean, they are his kids, and so even though that is a horrifying thought that they are both his children and his brothers and sisters, they are still his kids that he would have raised. And the chorus says, "Alas, it is as you say." Oedipus, say, friends, can any look or voice or touch of love ever make my heart rejoice? Haste, friends, no fond delay. Take this double cursed man away, far from others' concern. The man abhorred of gods, accursed of men. All right, so Oedipus believes himself to be cursed. Chorus, or, oh, your despair well suits your pathetic case. Would I never look upon your face? Oedipus, my curse on whoever loosened the babe's cruel fetters and saved my life. He meant me well, yet had he left me there, he would have saved my friends and me a world of care. He's like, they should have let me die. I too had wished it so. And the chorus agrees, like, yeah, you probably should have died that day. Oedipus says, so he's like, if they just let me die, then had I never come to shed my father's blood, nor climbed into my mother's bed, the monstrous offspring of a womb defiled, co-mate of him who fathered me and his child, was evermore afflicted thus like Oedipus. Oedipus says, or chorus says, I cannot say that you have considered well, for you could not be better dead than living blind. Okay, so basically the chorus agrees that while Oedipus is blind, they almost agree that his fate, they think he could be dead because the amount of grief he is dealing with is overwhelming. All right, so Oedipus says, what's done was well done. You can never shake my firm belief, a truce to argument. For had I sight, I know not with what eyes I could have met my father in the shades, or my mother, since against them both I've sinned. A sin no gallows could atone. Okay, so he doesn't believe that by death he would be fixed. He believes that by blinding himself in this life, he blinds himself for the afterlife, and then he doesn't have to see his parents and see what shame he has brought them. Yes, but you say the sight of children cheers a parent's eyes. What born is mine were born. No such sight could ever bring me joy. Nor this fair city with its battlements, its temples, and its statues of gods, sights from which I, most wretched of all, once ranked the foremost in all of Thebes, by my own sentence, am cut off, condemned, by my own proclamation against this wretch, the miscreant of heaven declared, unclean in the race of Laius, thus branded as a felon by myself. How had I dared to look you in the face? Nay, had I known a way to choke the source of hearing, I had never hesitated to make a dungeon of this terrible frame. Cut off from sight and hearing, it's for its bliss to bide in regions sorrow cannot reach. Why did you harbor me, Citharon? Why did you not take me and slay me? So once again, he doesn't understand why he was allowed to live, and he even brings up this idea of he wishes he could have deafened himself too, because he doesn't believe he deserves to hear either. Okay. So he continues on. Then ever have I shown the men the secret of my birth, O Polybus Corintho, home of my ancestors, as told to me. How fair a child then I seemed, how foul the canker of that lay festering in the bud, now in the blight revealed of root and fruit. You three highways and you hidden glen, the pass where three ways meet. You drank my blood, the life blood these hands have spilt. My fathers, do you call to mind perhaps those deeds of mine you witnessed in the work I wrought thereafter when I came to Thebes? O fatal wedlock, you gave me birth, and having borne me, sowed me again my seed, mingling the blood of fathers, brothers, children, brides, wives, mothers, and incestuous brood, all horrors that are wrought beneath the sun. Horrors so foul to name that they would be vulgar. Oh, I implore you to hide me anywhere, far from this land, or kill me now and cast me down to the depths of the ocean out of sight. Come here, stoop to touch an abject wretch, draw near and fear not. I must myself bear the load of guilt that no other can share. All right, so now, because Jocasta and Oedipus are both dead, Creon will be king. All right, remember they ruled as a trio, but two of the trio no longer can live in Thebes because one is dead and one is vanishing himself. So Creon enters. Look, here is Creon, says the chorus, the one man to grant your prayer by action or advice, for he has become the state's sole guardian. Oedipus says, Ah me, what words to greet him can I find? What cause has he to trust me? In the past I have borne a rancorous enemy. I have been his rancorous enemy. Okay. Creon says, not in denizen, Oedipus, I came nor to upbraid you of your past misdeeds, but shame upon you. If you feel no sense of human decency, at least revere the son whose light beholds and nurtures all. Don't leave him naked for all of you to all to gaze at. A horror, neither earth nor rain from heaven, nor light will endure. Lead him straight within, for it is seemly that a kinsman's woes be heard by kin and seen by kin alone. So Oedipus has become a spectacle, and Creon's going to try to bring him inside to kind of fix the problem, because he realizes, like, dude, you're freaking people out. And Oedipus says, oh, listen, since your presence comes to me a shock of glad surprise. You are noble, and I am so vile. Oh, grant me one small favor. I ask not for it on my behalf, but yours. And what is that favor you beg of me? Thrust me forth from your borders. So Oedipus pleads with Creon here to banish him from Thebes. Set me within some vast desert there. No mortal voice shall greet me any more. This I had already done, but I find it wise to consult the god. He has set forth fully to destroy the parricide, the scoundrel. I am he. Creon says, yes, so he spoke, but in our present plight, it is better to consult the god anew. So he consulted the gods again, and Oedipus says, dare you inquire concerning such a wretch? Yes, for even you would trust his word. And Oedipus says, certainly, and on you in all humility I lay this charge. Let her who lies within, he can't even say Jocasta's name, receive such burial as you shall ordain. Such rites are yours as brother to perform. But for myself, never let my Thebes, the city of my fathers, be doomed to bear the burden of my presence while I live. No, let me be a dweller on the hills. Okay, so he will wander the world. On yonder Mount Cithron, famed is mine, my tomb predestined for me by my sire and my mother while they lived. He wants to return back to the space that he would have originally died, that I may die slain as they thought to slay me. So, and he will be blind. So the odds are not in his favor here. While he does not kill himself, he does choose a path that is very dangerous. And he says, this much I know fully sure, neither disease shall end my days, nor any common chance, for I have never been snatched from death unless I was predestined for some awful doom, so be it. I reckon not how fate deals with me, but my unhappy children, for my sons be not concerned. O Creon, they are men, and they can fend for themselves. So Oedipus isn't worried about his sons, but he will be concerned for his daughters here, wherever they are. But for my 2 daughters, poor innocent maids, whoever sat beside me at the table, sharing my food, drinking my cup, take care of them, I pray you. And if you will, might I feel their touch and make my moan, hear me, O prince, my double-hearted prince. Could I blindly touch them with my hands? I think they still were mine. All right. As I could see. So he asks just one more time to see his daughters. Well, not see, he can't see, but to be with his daughters and hug them one last time before he banishes himself to the Mount Citharon. And Oedipus says, it is true. I know you this delight. I brought you this delight, knowing the joy that it would be to you of old. And then Oedipus is overjoyed. He says, oh, God bless you. And as a reward for bringing them, may Providence deal with you more kindly than it has dealt with me. Oh, my children, where are you? Let me clasp these hands, a brother's hands, a father's hands that made dull sockets of these once bright eyes, hands of a man who blindly, recklessly became your sire with her whom he sprang. Though I cannot behold you, I must weep, in thinking of the evil days to come, the slights and wrongs that men shall put upon you. Okay, so he's talking to his daughters here in this stanza. Though I cannot behold you, I must weep, in thinking evil days to come. The slights and wrongs that men will put upon you wherever you go in feast or festival. No merrymaking will it prove for you, but often abashed in tears you will return, okay? And so he brings out this idea that when they go out to participate in regular life, they will be ostracized, because in his mind and in the minds of the Thebans, they are a monstrosity, an abomination, all right? And when you become your marriageable years, where are the bold suitors who will jeopardize to take on themselves such disrepute as to my children must cling? For what of infamy is not theirs? Their father slew his mother, sowed the seed where he himself was besieged, and begat these maidens at the source from which he sprang. Such are the jibes that men will cast upon you. Who then will wed you? None. I know you, but you must pine poor maids in single barrenness. And so he really points out that they will probably never, ever, ever get married. And if they do get married, he probably is encouraging them here to not have children, because he doesn't think that's a good call. Okay. Let me finish up this part, the last of Oedipus's speech here. He says, O Prince, Menicius' son, to you I turn to be his father to them. For we, their natural parents, both of us are lost. O leave them not to wander poor unwed, your kin, nor let them share my low estate. O pity them, so young, but for you all destitute. Put your hand upon me, Prince. To you, children, I had much say. Were you but ripe to hear, let this suffice. Pray you may find some home and live content, and may your lot prove happier than your father's. Creon puts an end to this, and so the whole story ends. Oedipus has blinded himself, just like the prophecy said he would. Jocasta has died, even though that was not part of the prophecy, and Oedipus banishes himself, ultimately removing the plague from Thebes. Okay, so that is all I have for you today when it comes to the end of Oedipus. And even though he is considered an abomination and horrible, the chorus does leave us with a parting thought that no one's life can be called blessed until it's over. They say, look, you countrymen and Thebans, this is Oedipus the Great, he who solved the Sphinx's riddle and mightiest in our state, who all of townsmen gazed, not on his name, but with envious eyes, not on his fame, with envious eyes. Now, in what a sea of troubles sunk, overwhelmed he lies. Therefore, wait to see life's ending before you count one mortal blessed. Wait till free from pain and sorrow he has gained the final rest. Okay, so Oedipus believed that he was blessed by life. You know, he defeated the Sphinx. He became king of Thebes. He was well loved by his quote unquote barons, and in the end he was cursed. So have a great day, guys, and I will see you later.